welcome to India This Week. In the next half an hour, we will take you closer to the big stories of the week. Stories that map the rise of a new India. Developments that portray how India is galloping ahead. Glimpses of the rich cultural diversity that make incredible India a living reality. And how celebrations of the 75th year of independence continue as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's begin with the top stories of the week. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches the PM Gati Shakti Master Plan for connectivity. The game-changing launch will lead to rapid infrastructure development across ministries and sectors. PM says the master plan will give an impetus to 21st century India. As the world battles COVID-19, Subject Expert Committee recommends use of Covaxin for children in the age group of 2 to 18 years in India. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addresses SCO webinar on role of women in the armed forces, salutes the brave women from all SCO nations selflessly serving their respective nations. Says a large number of women have successfully broken the glass ceiling in a variety of professional spheres. Dussehra marking the victory of good over evil being celebrated across the country. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extend greetings on the occasion. Let's begin with the making of a new India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiled the Gati Shakti National Master Plan for Infrastructure, which is a 100 lakh crore rupees national master plan for multimodal connectivity that aims to develop infrastructure to reduce logistic costs and boost the economy. On the occasion, the Prime Minister said that the plan aims to design and execute infrastructure schemes of various ministries and sectors and state governments with a common vision.
With the launch of the Prime Minister Gati Shakti National Master Plan on Wednesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated the resolve of building an Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is the foundation of New India being laid for the next 25 years. The Prime Minister stressed that the people of India, Indian industry, business, manufacturers of India and Indian farmers are at the center of this Gati Shakti Master Plan. It will give new energy to the present and future generations to build the India of the 21st century.
आज का मंत्र है विल फॉर प्रोग्रेस, वर्क फॉर प्रोग्रेस, वेल्थ फॉर प्रोग्रेस, प्लान फॉर प्रोग्रेस, प्रेफरेंस फॉर प्रोग्रेस। हमने न सिर्फ परियोजनाओं को तय समय सीमा में पूरा करने का वर्क कल्चर विकसित किया, बल्कि आज समय से पहले प्रोजेक्ट पूरे करने का प्रयास हो रहा है।
Prime Minister Modi said that the gap between macro planning and micro implementation is the root cause of hurdles in the country's path of development. That is the reason why policy planning and their budget allocation do not bear the required results. The Prime Minister also lamented the fact that the subject of infrastructure in our country has not been a priority for most political parties.
हमारे देश में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का विषय ज्यादातर राजनीतिक दलों की प्राथमिकता से दूर रहा है। यह उनके घोषणा पत्र में भी नजर नहीं आता है। अब तो ये स्थिति आ गई है कि कुछ राजनीतिक दल देश के लिए जरूरी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण पर आलोचना करने में गर्व करते हैं, जबकि दुनिया में ये स्वीकृत बात है कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के लिए क्वालिटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लाखों करोड़ रुपए के ऐसे सैकड़ों प्रोजेक्ट्स की मैंने खुद समीक्षा की। सरकार के सारे विभागों, सारे मंत्रालयों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर लाकर खड़ा कर दिया, सारी रुकावटों को दूर करने का प्रयास किया। मुझे संतोष है कि अब सबका ध्यान इस ओर गया है कि आपसी तालमेल की कमी की वजह से परियोजनाओं में देरी ना हो।
The Prime Minister cited different examples to elucidate that Gati Shakti Master Plan will not only create immense employment opportunities but also reduce logistic cost, improve supply chains and make local goods globally competitive.
पीएम गति शक्ति अब ये सुनिश्चित करेगी कि 21वीं सदी का भारत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट में कोऑर्डिनेशन में कमी की वजह से ना पैसे का नुकसान उठाए और ना ही समय गंवाए। पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान के तहत रोड से लेकर रेलवे तक, एविएशन से लेकर के एग्रीकल्चर तक विभिन्न मंत्रालयों को, विभागों को इससे जोड़ा जा रहा है।
The Prime Minister also inaugurated 4 exhibition complexes of the International Exhibition cum Convention Centre at Pragati Maidan on the occasion. He expressed the hope that with the development of quality infrastructure, India can realize the dream of becoming the business capital of the world, thereby increasing our global competitiveness. With Arun Sharma, TD India.
India has taken another leap in its space reforms trajectory, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi launching the Indian Space Association, an industry body of government and private companies which aims to supplement the centre's efforts in commercial space exploration and space-based communication. Here's more on why this step is key in India's space journey.
In tandem with the national mission of self-reliant and progressive India, the Indian Space Association was formally launched on Monday by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as an industry body. In a virtual event, Prime Minister interacted with representatives and various stakeholders in the Indian space domain, with members comprising Indian Space Research Organisation and others. Prime Minister said, 21st century has ushered in a series of big reforms in all sectors, adding to India's growing global stature. He stressed that there has never been such a decisive government in India as there is today. The major reforms that are happening in the country in the space sector and space tech are example of this.
भारत का सामर्थ्य दुनिया के सभी देश से जरा भी कम नहीं है। इस सामर्थ्य के आगे आने वाली हर रुकावट को दूर करना हमारी सरकार का दायित्व है और इसके लिए सरकार कोई कोर कसर बाकी नहीं छोड़ रही। आज जितनी निर्णायक सरकार भारत में है, उतनी पहले कभी नहीं रही। स्पेस सेक्टर और स्पेस टेक को लेकर आज भारत में जो बड़े रिफॉर्म्स हो रहे हैं, वो इसी की एक कड़ी है।
Prime Minister remarked that government's approach to space reforms is based on 4 pillars. First, freedom of innovation to the private sector. Second, the role of government as an enabler. Third, preparing the youth for the future. And fourth, to see the space sector as a resource for progress for the common man. Prime Minister remarked that a self-reliant India campaign is not just a vision, but also a well-thought, well-planned, integrated economic strategy.
ये विजन है आत्मनिर्भर भारत का। आत्मनिर्भर अभियान सिर्फ एक विजन नहीं है, बल्कि एक वेल थॉट, वेल प्लान्ड, इंटीग्रेटेड इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रेटेजी भी है। एक ऐसी स्ट्रेटेजी जो भारत के उद्यमियों, भारत के युवाओं के स्किल की क्षमताओं को बढ़ाकर भारत को ग्लोबल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पावर हाउस बनाए। एक ऐसी स्ट्रेटेजी जो भारत के टेक्नोलॉजिकल एक्सपर्टीज को आधार बनाकर भारत को इनोवेशंस का ग्लोबल सेंटर बनाए। एक ऐसी स्ट्रेटेजी जो ग्लोबल डेवलपमेंट में बड़ी भूमिका निभाए, भारत के ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज और टैलेंट की प्रतिष्ठा विश्व स्तर पर बढ़ाए।
PM emphasized how the space sector earlier used to be synonymous with ruling dispensation, adding that it was his government that changed this mindset.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान के तहत भारत ने डिफेंस, कोल और माइनिंग जैसे सेक्टर पहले ही खोल दिए हैं। पब्लिक सेक्टर एंटरप्राइज को लेकर सरकार एक स्पष्ट नीति के साथ आगे बढ़ रही है और जहां सरकार की आवश्यकता नहीं है, ऐसे ज्यादातर सेक्टर्स को प्राइवेट एंटरप्राइज के लिए ओपन कर रही है। अभी एयर इंडिया से जुड़ा जो फैसला लिया गया है, वो हमारी प्रतिबद्धता और गंभीरता को दिखाता है।
Prime Minister pointed out that the space sector means better mapping, imaging and connectivity facilities for people and also last mile delivery, highlighting the importance of cutting edge technology. He said technology has helped in spreading the schemes and programs of the government to the most remote areas.
आज अगर भारत दुनिया की टॉप की डिजिटल इकोनॉमी में से एक है, तो इसके पीछे एक बड़ा कारण यह है कि हमने डेटा की ताकत को गरीब से गरीब को भी सुलभ कराया है। इसलिए आज जब हम कटिंग एज टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए स्पेस को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं, तब हमें उस नागरिक को याद रखना है जो अंतिम पायदान पर खड़ा है।
Prime Minister Modi said India's space sector is a big medium for progress for 130 crore people, noting that now is the time for India in the 21st century. He said that during the last 7 years, space technology has been converted into a tool of last-mile delivery and leakage-free, transparent governance. He gave examples of the use of geotagging in housing units for the poor, roads and infrastructure projects, development projects being monitored by satellite imaging. Space technology is being used in settlement of Fasal Bima Yojana claims. Navik system is helping fishermen. Disaster management planning is being carried out through this technology. Bureau Report, DD India.
And here's how India is on the move with women's empowerment and health security for all. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Chief of Defence Staff Bipin Rawat took part in the SCO International webinar on role of women in the armed forces. Speaking at the event, he underlined that one must recognize and reinforce the role of women in the armed forces and in other spheres of security and nation building.
The role of women in the armed forces, we must also recognize and reinforce their wider contribution in all spheres of security and nation building. Women have and will remain equal contributors in this fight, both within the armed forces and beyond them. In terms of their participation within the armed forces, we were amongst the few countries that took an early initiative in this regard.
The Defence Minister also said India's approach to the induction of women in the state police, central police, paramilitary and armed forces has been progressive. He added that India took an evolutionary path of moving from support to combat support within the armed forces.
Women are now being accepted for permanent commission and shall be commanding army units and battalions in near future. From next year, women shall be able to join our premier tri-service, pre-commissioning training institute, the National Defence Academy. Women have proved themselves in every field, competing and excelling wherever they have been involved. Many barriers have been broken and many more imagined barriers should break in the years to come.
Speaking on counter-terrorism, the Defence Minister stressed that SCO as an organisation has unequivocally rejected terrorism in all its forms and manifestations.
The very concept of security is undergoing a paradigm shift. The changing character of war is bringing threats from our borders to within our society and amongst the people. Terrorism is just the most obvious and diabolical manifestation of this reality. It has been employed as a weapon of choice by non-state actors and irresponsible states alike for the furtherance of their political objectives. Shanghai Cooperation Organization as an organization has unequivocally rejected terrorism in all its manifestations and forms.
In a major development that could have far-reaching consequences for India's fight against COVID-19, the Subject Expert Committee has given its nod for use of Covaxin for children in the age group of 2 to 18 years. The SEC has given the recommendation to Drugs Controller General of India for the use of Bharat Biotech's Covaxin for children. If cleared by the DCGI, the vaccine will be administered to 2 to 18-year-olds.
A vaccine will soon be available to protect children as well against COVID-19. Bharat Biotech's vaccine may soon get an approval by DCGI. The CDSCO and Subject Expert Committee were satisfied with the data from the vaccine trials conducted on children aged 2 to 18 years and have agreed to the process further. The last step is, however, pending, and all eyes are now on the final approval by DCGI.
अभी तो इसमें DCGI का भी अप्रूवल मिला नहीं है। इसमें एक्सपर्ट के डिसीजन लेंगे और उसके बाद ही ये वैक्सीन आएगा, लेकिन जब भी आएगा तो आपको पता ही चलेगा। अभी तो ये सब प्रोसीजर चल रही है, मुझे लगता है कुछ काम अभी चल रहे हैं और हम उसमें इंटरवेन नहीं करते हैं, तो ये एक्सपर्ट के साथ DCGI वो निर्णय करके चर्चा करके आगे बात बढ़ेगी।
The final approval by DCGI to Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, when it does come, will make it only the second vaccine cleared for use on kids in India. In August, Zydus Cadilla's 3-dose DNA jab was allowed to be used on adults and children over 12. A third potential vaccine for kids is the Serum Institute's Novavax, for which the DCGI last month cleared trials for children between 7 and 11 years. A fourth is Biological E's Corbevax, which has been cleared to conduct advanced trials on children above 5. In view of the decreasing cases of COVID and speedy vaccination, the government has also allowed domestic airlines to operate flights with 100% capacity from October 18. All protocols for prevention from COVID-19 will need to be strictly followed. DD India.
And now the talking point of the week, COVID-19 vaccine for children. And a newsmaker of the week is Member Health Niti Aayog, Dr. Vinod Paul, who spoke to DD India on COVID-19 vaccines for children in India. Let's listen in.
India's scientific community and industry are systematically examining the possibilities of Indian vaccine, India-made vaccines, to be eligible for use in pediatric or child and adolescent population. As you are aware, the DNA vaccine by Zydus, ICOV-D, is approved for use up to the age of 12, and hopefully very soon Covaxin will also be eligible for use up to 2 years of age. The formalities are in the final stage. So this gives us an option to start considering the extension of vaccination program to adolescents and to children. The decision when to go for it, which children to be selected, with which vaccines to be used, all that work is being undertaken right now, being discussed, being evaluated and being considered, and this is work in progress, as I said. We should wait for these recommendations to come forth, but remember, we have to make sure that once we start this program and we commit to give vaccines to children, we must have enough supplies for sustained program implementation. Keeping all these factors into mind, the government will take a decision at an appropriate time to extend vaccination program for children. Approval of vaccines for use in children with existing vaccine options is based essentially on the immunogenicity parameters. The efficacy data available from adult trials is borne in mind and the surrogates of efficacy such as immunogenicity, including T cell immunogenicity parameters, are used to grant license in children, provided such immunogenicity could be demonstrated in child subjects when tested on them. But these decisions are taken by the subject expert committees of the DCGI system, CDSCO system, and we will await their decisions in regard to specific vaccines as they appear on the scene from time to time. Our understanding is that the dose regimen for the 2 vaccines which are on the anvil for potential use in children are the same as for adults, which means 3 doses for the DNA ZyCoV-D vaccine and 2 doses for the Covaxin. It is our understanding that the 2 vaccines which are likely to be used in children can be given in addition to all other vaccines. There is no restriction in regard to any particular vaccine not to be given in those children. There is a general practice that you keep a gap between different vaccines to allow the individual's immunity and individual's body systems to be able to respond to the antigen of the vaccine. So, those are general principles of clinical practice that would be followed, but there is no conflict with any particular vaccine in regard to the COVID-19 vaccination program.
As India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, here's a look at how the country is remembering its freedom fighters. India is indebted to its freedom fighters who won us independence from the British colonial rule. Today, let's trace the contribution of freedom fighter, author, thinker and political leader Ram Manohar Lohia to India's freedom struggle.
In today's episode, we are paying our tributes to freedom fighter, author, thinker and political leader Ram Manohar Lohia, who left us on 12th October in 1967. Lohia was born on 23rd of March 1910 at Akbarpur in the then Faizabad district of Uttar Pradesh.
His father was a great follower of Mahatma Gandhi, and at an early age itself, Ram Manohar leaned towards Gandhian philosophy and turned a satyagrahi at the age of 10. During school days, Lohia launched a campaign against textbooks which described Shivaji as a bandit king, and later joined protest against Simon Commission.
After completing graduation from Calcutta University, Lohia went to Europe for further studies. While in Europe, Lohia attended the League of Nations Assembly in Geneva. India was represented by the Maharaja of Bikaner, a well-known favourite of the British Raj.
Lohia took exception to this and launched a protest from the visitors' gallery. He sent several letters to editors of newspapers and magazines to clarify the reason for his protest. The whole incident made Lohia a recognized figure in India overnight.
Lohia helped organize the Association of European Indians and became the secretary of the club. The main focus of the organization was to preserve and expand the Indian nationalism outside India. Lohia wrote his PhD thesis paper on the topic of salt satyagraha, focusing on Gandhiji's socio-economic theory.
Lohia was attracted to socialism and helped lay the foundation of Congress Socialist Party in 1934. Lohia was arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison when he wrote the article Satyagraha Now in Gandhiji's newspaper Harijan on June 1st, 1940. He was mentally tortured and interrogated by his jailers, but in December 1941 he was released along with other leaders by British authorities in a desperate attempt to destabilize India internally.
During the Quit India movement in 1942, when prominent leaders were jailed, Lohia carried out operations from underground. Lohia, along with freedom fighter Usha Mehta, broadcast messages in Bombay for 3 whole months from a secret radio station called Congress Radio before detection. He revived the movement in Kolkata and later fled to Nepal, to evade the British. However, he was captured in May 1944. Lohia was taken to a prison in Lahore, but under Gandhiji's pressure, he was released.
As India's tryst with freedom neared, Hindu-Muslim strife increased. Lohia strongly opposed partitioning India in his speeches and writings. He appealed to communities in riot-torn regions to stay united, ignore the violence surrounding them, and stick to Gandhiji's ideals of non-violence.
Lohia comforted the Mahatma on partition issue and remained beside Gandhiji as a son would remain beside a father in the hour of crisis in the aftermath of independence.
Dr. Lohia was the first to introduce the idea of unification of some 650 Indian princely states together to form larger states, an idea which was later successfully executed by Sardar Patel, first Home Minister of India. After independence, Lohia made his indelible mark in democratic India as a great thinker and parliamentarian and a fighter for the cause of minorities, lower classes and women.
During his last few years, besides politics, he spent hours talking to thousands of young adults on topics ranging from Indian literature, politics and art. Lohia died on October the 12th, 1967 in New Delhi. He left behind no property or bank balance but prudent contemplations.
In Incredible India, let's take a look at the festive spirit that's uniting the country. India on Friday celebrated the festival of Dussehra Vijayadashmi. The festival signifies the victory of good over evil. The annual festival, which is celebrated on the 10th day of the Navratris, signifies Lord Ram's victory over Ravan. The day also marks the end of Ram Leela, a brief retelling of Ram, Sita and Lakshman's story. On Dussehra, towering effigies of Demon King Ravan, Kumbhakaran and Meghnad, symbolic of evil, are burnt down with fireworks, thus reminding onlookers that no matter what, good always prevails over evil. Although the enthusiasm is high among revelers as always, the celebrations are low-key for the second year in a row due to the COVID-19 pandemic. President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu greeted the nation on Dussehra. The President in his message said Vijayadashmi is celebrated to mark the victory of good over evil. He said the persona of Lord Ram and his righteous conduct as Maryada Purushottam is an ideal for all. He hoped that this festival strengthens the moral foundation of the society and inspires all the citizens to work for nation building. The Vice President in his message said Dussehra is an occasion to remind everyone of the need to constantly quell the demonic forces and foster goodness and harmony. He hoped that the festival brings peace, harmony and prosperity in the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended greetings on the occasion of Vijayadashmi. As the country celebrated Navratri and Durga Puja, Padma Shri awardee artist Sudarshan Patnaik created a sand art of goddess Durga with seashells at Puri beach in Odisha. We'll leave you to soak in this masterpiece of a sand art. Thanks for watching.